Welcome back, everybody, to episode 26 of A Shot of Weeb, where two hosts who do not know what they're doing drink the dumb juice and then talk about anime. I am one of your...
That's the best description yet. Oh, man. I love that description.
Just came up with that on the spot. I'm pretty proud of it.
Nice.
I'm one of your hosts, The Epic Wob. I ain't writing nothing down. I'm one of your hosts, The Epic Wob, here with Seaweed Ambassador. Do you have a V at the front of your name? I have a V at the front of my name.
What?
V?
No, I don't anymore. I used to.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure I had that right.
Yep.
What fucking show did we watch? We watched Ultraman.
Ultraman!
Netflix original animation from 2019? Question mark?
Yeah, it's 2019. And if you can't tell, I'm pretty excited. I got all my Blu-rays here. Got all my Ultraman Blu-rays. I'm very excited to talk about this show. A big Ultraman fan. Boy, so excited.
You aren't wearing the Ultraman helmet, so it doesn't count.
I need one. I don't have one yet.
Why don't you have one?
I can go get my figures.
I don't think we have time for that, bud.
I have Ultra 7 and Zafi.
Take your freaking shot. We're going to start off with a shot like we always do. Do we want to lay out what we're drinking this time? Because by the sounds of it, both of us are shaking it up a little.
Oh, yeah, sure. You can go first.
I can go first. Okay. So, for the shots part of it, I am doing pretty much the same thing as always. I bought a brand new bottle of Svedka because last episode ran me out of both of them. But I was able to get my preferable blue raspberry. But instead of just suffering through shots the entire time with nothing else in between, I went back to my roots, dude. We're harkening back to season 0, dude.
Oh.
I got me.
Oh.
I got the OG.
Oh, that's the original shit. Hell yeah.
That is the original, and I should have opened it before we were recording, so you guys are going to get the can opening sound, so I
get
apologize.
That nice crack. Get that can opening ASMR. Let's go.
Ow. Shut up. There we go.
There we go. That's that sound we like to hear.
That took me 2 tries, which is one more try than necessary.
Yeah, that's true. All right. So this week I've got myself some it's kind of new. I've had some shots of this stuff before, you know. But I picked up this stuff. It's called Smirnoff Sours. The berry lemon flavor.
Sours.
Yeah, it's also a vodka, you know, Smirnoff, so obviously. But it's really good. It's really good. I don't have a mixer though this week, so I've taken an extra shot. Just got some Diet Mountain Dew.
Gotcha. I realized I didn't actually verbalize my second drink for the non-video viewers. Yeah. I got a hold of Mike's Harder like I used to do. I bought the strawberry pineapple this time. Yeah. Important disclaimer that we've been trying to remember to actually say: drink responsibly and know your limits.
Yep. We make sure to do that every episode.
We know the appropriate amount to still be able to talk about a show. Yep. Without me falling about down the stairs. Please, there's no coherency even when we're sober. No. I nearly said summer.
Bro, how far gone are you already, dude? Let's get this shot in you.
I'm not. I'm just stupid. There's a difference.
All right, well, got our shots ready, so Kampai. Man, it's so smooth. Really good stuff.
I forgot how small soda cans are, like, comparatively.
Yeah. No, honestly,
it's hand size.
There was a bit where I was used to, like, the Arnold Palmer can or, like, the Arizona tea cans, you know? Mm-hmm. And those things are massive. So.
Well, I mean, look here.
Yeah, and that's about the same size, yeah.
Sprite versus the harder. I mean, it's kind of like a Monster Energy can. You don't know what that's about? That's good. That's actually good.
Okay, well...
we'll talk about it after the recording. Don't let me forget.
Okay, I will definitely forget, but all right. All right, well, let's talk about one of my favorite things of all time, Ultraman. Are you excited?
No. I'm sorry, bud. You know this isn't my kind of jam. Like, I don't do this kind of show. Even Power Rangers, I mean, I know it's only like half related. But even barely that kind of thing was always... Was that?
I said barely even half.
It's the same, like...
It's the same genre.
Yeah.
But Ultraman is a different feel to it than, like, Sentai and Kamen Rider.
Yeah, I still get those confused every time.
Yeah. Okay, I guess, like, for some background, we should probably give some background on what... Or I'll give some background on what Ultraman is. How about that?
Yeah, go for it, bud.
So I give you a history lesson, too.
You have my full attention.
Back in 1966, a man named Eiji Tsuburaya decided he wanted to make a TV show. And so he made... You know what he made? Want to take a guess?
I'm going to guess it's the original Ultraman.
Half right. He first made Ultra Q.
He first made Haikyuu.
Oh, man. Could you imagine Haikyuu with kaiju in it? Oh, man, that would be amazing. No, Ultra Q was like a compilation sci-fi thing with a bunch of different like kaiju and other like supernatural things, all done with like special effects, right? Because Eiji Tsuburaya is the guy behind Godzilla, or like one of the main guys behind Godzilla. So then that same year, the people of Japan loved it so much that the TV station, is it TV Tokyo? I think. Don't quote me on that though. I don't fully remember. But then they were like, okay, make more, and he was like, all right. And so after a lot of deliberation, they made Ultraman. And then in 1968, Ultra 7 came out, and there's been multiple series throughout the years. The most recent one was Ultraman Z. It just ended like a month ago, I believe. And there's a lot of different Ultras. The Ultras are like a race, an alien race, who are the protectors of the universe. And they'll come and help protect Earth. And in the original Ultraman, a man named Shin Hayata died in a plane crash in the first episode. And Ultraman said, all right, I'm going to save your life. But to do that, we have to merge. So they merged. So Shin Hayata became Ultraman.
I suspected.
Yes. And the reason this is important is because the anime that we're watching is a direct sequel to Ultraman. But it's a direct sequel in the sense that none of the other stuff in the Ultraman franchise, because there's multiple different universes. There's a multiverse for Ultraman, right?
Okay.
None of that happened in this timeline. So, like, there was a split, and then, so, it's a little confusing at the beginning of the initial franchise, right? Of, like, because Ultra 7 was also made in, like, its own separate universe, and then Return of Ultraman came and, like, combined them all and whatever. But here, Ultraman, the original, was the only one to ever appear. And so it was originally made as a manga. It's still going. The manga's still going. And the two authors of this are massive fans of Ultraman. So much so, like... so Tsuburaya is the studio, named after Eiji Tsuburaya, obviously. They brought him in to show him like some of like the older suits and stuff, and like, you know how in manga, well, maybe you don't, but listeners might. You know how like in manga, when like sometimes in between chapters they'll have like little like blurbs from the author and stuff, or like at the end you'll get like some short comic things. There was some of that in there, and it was literally just the two of them geeking out about Ultraman, and it was great. It was fantastic. Absolutely loved it. So this is going back to kind of the history of Ultraman. This is the second real anime, and by real I mean like series, right? Mm-hmm. So back in 1979, there was a show called The Ultraman. Tsuburaya partnered with Sunrise, who you might know from Gundam fame. It's that studio, and they made a show, and it was very well received as far as I know. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the adaptation of the manga, Ultraman. So, Very excited to get into it. And you'll get more tidbits throughout this episode.
Yeah, I appreciate the long-winded backstory there, Deckard.
Look, I thought it was necessary. Look, we do an anime podcast, not a tokusatsu podcast, you know?
I don't think we've ever gone that deep into the lore of, like, preceding a show, except for, like, Zambot?
I did a little bit for Zambot, yeah.
Did a little bit for Zambot, and then Moving Castle we talked a bunch on.
Yeah, we talked about Miyazaki and stuff, yeah.
For, like, way too long.
Yeah, but, like, I don't know. I felt like it was kind of important here, but because it is a direct sequel of the original show, the original Ultraman. But it's also, you don't have to watch that first. You can, and you'll get cool, like, Easter eggs if you know more about Ultraman. But it is like a quote-unquote standalone experience, if that makes sense. I'm sure you got that when you were watching it, too.
Yeah, no, it doesn't, like, rely on anything too much, although it does have a few carryover characters.
Yes.
Which is why I said I suspected.
Right. There's a few carryover characters, and there's also reimaginings of characters, and we'll get to those as well.
So that it's said, if this isn't already, like, abundantly clear, I don't know shit about Ultraman. I've not seen a single one, and it's not my kind of jam. So I'm going into this completely blind to the entire canon, where Seaweed has seen, like, literally all of them.
No. I've only watched, like, half of it. I only got into Ultraman a year ago. When Mill Creek started releasing the Blu-rays, please support Ultraman. They have they have the license for everything. For the whole franchise. It's crazy. And they do a really good job. You can get it digitally too, but yeah, it's also on a lot of streaming platforms. Crunchyroll has a couple. Like, yeah, you can basically start with.
Netflix has one. I'm salty.
Yeah.
I wasn't even that interested in this show, and I had to buy into a freaking Netflix subscription to finish the research for this episode.
Well, you know, it was worth it in the end, I'm sure, because now you have a whole lifetime of love from Ultraman to go through.
Now I have other shows that I've been meaning to watch that I can watch that I won't watch because I don't have the time.
That's true, yeah. Yep, that's very true. Very, very fair.
I mean, I theoretically have more time than I did before, but I'm enjoying having said time and therefore not actually getting anything done.
Yeah, no. Hey, I understand that one big time, buddy. All right, well, where do you want to start? Now that we've got the history of Ultraman, where do you want to start? You want to start with the characters so we can get a little baseline of who we're working with here?
I was going to do a little bit of both, actually. I was going to start at the very beginning. We start in an Ultraman museum. I'm just going to kick into the episodes. There's very few characters. I think we can talk about them as we go.
Okay, all right, go for it.
We start off in an Ultraman museum, and I did recognize there's like there's dioramas and a massive statue, because Ultraman used to be big, I guess. Like, literally, physically big.
Yeah, he's called the Giant of Light. I want to say, like, 50 meters tall, around there.
But they had, like, a statue of him, as well as all the dioramas, and that was the original Ultraman costume, yes?
That's what he looked like, yes.
Yeah, because, like, I recognized it from, like, pictures you've sent before.
Yeah. And he shows up a couple times in the show as well. Like, in, like,
flashbacks
and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the original design.
Yeah, and all of, like, the ships and stuff that are in there, that's, like, the vehicles they used in the show. And the SSSP, and we'll get into it. There's so much I want to talk about.
It starts off with an old man who we find out is named Shin Hayata, which I did not know who that was. You presumably immediately knew who that was.
Oh, yeah, baby.
And he's wandering around with his little kid. They're at the SSSP, not SSSS Gridman. That's a different thing. SSSP.
SSSP.
And there's
Super Science Search Patrol, something like that.
There's Shin, and there's another old man. I don't actually recall his name, and it's not on this listing.
Mitsuhide Ide.
Ide? Yeah.
Ide.
And
You
they're
call
both
him Ide.
they're both part of the like original team, like their
Yes.
pictures on the wall.
Yes.
And Shin is there with his kid Shinjiro. And then the kid just like accidentally jumps off like a 3rd-story railing.
Yep.
Like
he
almost
falls over.
immediately.
He's trying to reach the plane. Yep.
But he's completely fine, and they're like, "Your kid's not fine." He's like, "My kid's fine," and then we leave.
Yeah. And right before we move on, I do want to say that I don't think we said this at first, but this show is CG. It's entirely CG. But I don't you know I'm not normally a fan of that. You know.
I will save my thoughts on that matter until closer to the end, if that's all right.
That's fine. I'm not going to give my full thoughts on this. I just wanted to say the character designs for Hayata and Ide are very good because I can see the actors who played those characters originally in those designs, if that makes sense. You haven't seen the actors.
I haven't seen the actors. Are you meaning like literally they're like just like their physical appearance?
Yes, their physical appearance, yeah. Because also the other thing is like they also
Jesus,
those actors appear in a lot of stuff. Like they'll come back to reprise their role because once you're Ultraman, you are that Ultraman.
It's canon. It's like Doctor Who by the sounds of it.
Yes. Yeah, except nobody else can really play that character. Whereas Doctor Who, there's like 13 of them or something?
Well, yeah, no, but like instead of separate Ultramans, it's if you put all the Ultramans in a line.
Yeah. Yes. I think I understand what you mean. Yes.
Line.
Yes. Yeah, I got you. Yep. That's what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
You got it. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say there. Is that they did do a very good job, I think. I'll send you the pictures of the actors later.
I would appreciate that, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they rush off, and then Hayata, I keep... all I think of is the... You know my brain is always JoJo's, and so I keep, like, defaulting to Hayato.
Oh my god.
Specifically from like a particular meme video that I've watched where it's like intentionally over the top, and so like Kira would be like he'd walk up to the kid and he'd be like, "Child," and the kid's like, "Hayato." That's what I keep going back to when I hear his name. It's so dumb, but it gives me a chuckle.
Well, as long as it gives you a chuckle.
Head empty, no thoughts.
Damn right.
Hayata calls a meeting with his buddy. You said Ito was his name, yeah?
Yes, Ide.
Ide. Right, because Ito is the alien man. Edo?
Yes.
I have a comment about him, too. I don't know if you'll get the thing.
We'll see.
They meet back up, and the old man is, like, angry. He's like, that boy ain't right. Accidentally breaks a railing, and that's when I first find out that the old man still has Ultraman's power to a degree in him. And by extension, Shinjiro has as well.
Yes.
Through, like, genes.
Yep.
Biology.
Passed down through the generations.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Skyrim music, buddy, you've got to stop. Pardon me.
Yeah, get that Ultraman soundtrack on.
I want no soundtrack on. I'm trying to record.
Oh, yeah. So we got that meeting you were talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like after dark in the museum, because the museum is also, we find out, it's like it was the headquarters of the SSSB, and then that got shut down and operates in secret under the museum.
Yes. Which the SSSP is only, as far as I know, in the original Ultraman. Like, every Ultraman has their own science squad. Generally. Mm-hmm. Some of them don't have a science squad like that at all. But the SSSP is specifically Ultraman. So it is a direct link through and it does stand for the Science Special Search Party. I was close.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because I don't think they actually specify it in this one. Plus no. The characters also don't refer to it as the SSSP outside of the subtitles. They have like their own, what's it called, acronym for it?
Yeah.
Or presumably acronym in Japanese. There's like, I remember there's one bit when the detectives were in the car and they realized that's who it's on, and the lead detective is like, it's the SSSP, and then the other character responds like, SSSP? What's that? But he just said like a single word, and I think it was 4 syllables, so I'm assuming they just did like the first kana of each. Is that how acronyms work in Japanese? I don't actually know.
I'm not 100% sure.
That or they just had like a single word for it.
They might have just combined it into a single word, but I'm pretty sure it's because it's on everything that's written. It just says SSSP.
Yeah, I know. That's weird. That's what confused me. But you never hear a character vocalize SSSP, which usually, even when it's an acronym in English letters, they'd still say the English letters.
There's a couple times.
Oh, maybe I'm just dumb and didn't notice it. But I swear they didn't say it.
They just don't say it that often. But yeah. But it's in this meeting that we see Edo for the first time, right?
No, that's not until episode 2. That's not until a little bit later.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
All
right.
No, this is the first time we see what's his name? Why isn't he in the character list? He's literally the main bad, quote unquote. What was his name again?
Oh, Bemular?
Bemular, yeah.
Yeah.
You meet Bemular at the end of this one because he chases down Shinjiro and is like, you haven't figured out your powers. Fight me.
Yep. And here's the cool thing. Bemular is the first kaiju that Ultraman fights in the original series.
Yeah, you linked me that, and I didn't read it because you sent it to me at the wrong time. You should read it
because it does pertain directly to us in a way.
To us?
Yes.
Wait, keep talking. I'm doing this in real time.
It does pertain a bit to us. But yeah, Bemular is really cool. He's like this. In the anime, he's like wearing this suit. It's like this metal suit. He's got like glowing eyes and stuff, and very spiky.
I see what you're getting at, and I can't say that on the podcast.
Yeah, but people can look it up, so. But yeah, no, Bemular looks really cool. The subtitles did say Bemlar, which I understand why, but I prefer Bemular.
Well, I mean, even the wiki you linked me says Bemlar.
Yeah, it says on that wiki page though, Bemlar or Bemular. It has both written there. Because it can be written both ways. I don't know. It's just a personal preference thing. Honestly, it really doesn't make that much of a difference. I just had to look it up to make sure I was thinking of the right kaiju.
Oh, because he landed in the lake.
Yes.
So the original Ultraman, I guess, was like global instead of just taking place in one city.
Yeah, they go across the around the world. Yeah, well, they're fighting kaiju.
That's kind of cool to see. A not major location of the U.S. be mentioned in an anime.
Well, not in this anime.
Well, in the original.
Yeah, in the original.
I know it's not technically an anime. I'm going to call it anime. But no, that's interesting. Well,
yeah,
no,
I thought you would like that.
Yeah. Yeah, because like usually, as far as anime goes, the U.S. is basically just like L.A. and New York. That's it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Sometimes you get Texas in there.
Why would you get Texas?
Because it's big.
Oh, and DC because government.
Yeah. That's about the only things, though. But yeah, no. So, he meets Bemular, and then Bemular doesn't try to fight him, though, initially. which is interesting. You know, it really gets your noggin going as to what he's up to.
I mean, doesn't he? I thought his first encounter with him, he yeets on the Rena sign he was sitting on, or was that the second time?
Maybe he did.
Because Shinjiro was sitting on a Rena a billboard on top of a building, and I thought that was when Bemula first appeared.
That might have been. Oh, that was the first time he appeared to Shinjiro.
Oh, gotcha.
We saw him before that, but...
Because they had a video footage... this may have been in the beginning of the next episode. Whatever. They had video footage of, like, an airplane blowing up, and then they were able to, like, zoom in, enhance, zoom, enhance. That's not how that works.
You can kind of do that now.
Nowhere near to the degree they did.
But also, here's the thing. They have the technology to make a super suit.
I mean, yeah, they can get away with it. My bone to pick is with frickin' NCIS doing that.
Yeah, no, NCIS is bad. This, it's still like a pixelated image. It's not just like a clear photograph.
Yeah, they didn't make it like... Yeah, so that's fair. They get a pass.
Yeah. But yeah, so like we see Bimula and stuff, and then... I believe... Does Shinjiro have like a small talk with his dad? Or something?
We get that he doesn't have the best relationship with his dad because he like brushes him off prior to this.
Yeah.
And then he goes running on rooftops using his mega jump powers that we find out he has.
Yeah, because he has that Ultraman blood.
And that's when Bemler turns up. And they end up fighting in a sports grass place.
Soccer field.
Can't remember words, my guy.
Oh boy, this is gonna be rough. Then we have to do another hour and a half of this.
And they start fighting, and Shinjiro looks like he's gonna get dunked on, and then his dad literally just flies in, and he's like, "Papa."
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, he's great.
You have powers too.
Yep, and then his dad's like, "Yes, I was Ultraman." Because Shinjiro loves Ultraman. He's a big Ultraman fan.
Yes. Very much so.
And so then his dad starts fighting him. Ide shows up he throws his son into the helicopter that Ide's in.
Yeah, to like help him escape because he doesn't know what he's doing.
And Ide's like, all right, well, we have to leave no matter what. That's what your dad said. And then there's a big explosion. And they're like, or we could go back and save him.
He's like, okay, your dad didn't want me to do this, but he's not really here to say no.
Yeah. And see, this is the thing, right? I also love about Ide, because he was he was like my favorite character in the original Ultraman, right?
Okay.
Because he is the comic relief, but he's also like really smart and like developed most of their technology.
Okay.
And so him doing this is so in character, and I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah. And so they pull out a super suit for Shinjiro, and then throw him back onto the field where Shin Hayata has been bullied. He like just got stabbed like in the gut, really bad,
by Bemula.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, leave my dad alone, and then they fight. And I don't think he wins per se, but they make him leave. I don't quite remember the circumstances. This was last night. I can't be expected to remember a whole day ago.
No, he didn't fully win. But because Bimula's like, all right, you've awakened to your powers. That's what I was after. Mm-hmm. And so he leaves.
Just pieces out.
Yeah. And then they're able to save Shin Hayata. But he is gravely injured, so he can no longer fight, obviously. And he was also only using a prototype suit. He was not using the actual Ultraman suit, which Shinjiro has now.
This is a detour, but I have to say it because I just had to dip over and fix it. I wrote the wrong 2 in my notes. I was saying, like, this is good also. But then I wrote TWO, and I just looked at that, and I read it, and I'm like, you moron.
Man, it's a good thing you weren't an English major.
No. That was always my worst class, wouldn't you know?
I believe it after that.
I did better in French than English, and I grew up speaking English.
Wow. All right.
It was the same teacher, too, so that was fun.
Oh, nice. All right, so then we've got episode 2, I believe.
Yes and no?
This was partially in episode 2, this whole, like, fighting Bemular. It's partially in episode 2.
I'm trying to break away from saying episode numbers. I feel like that overly, like, breaks up what we're doing unnecessarily.
That's fair. All right.
But, yeah, and then they, like... Most of episode 2 is the fight with Bemlar.
Yes. Which is really cool. The animation is so smooth. I love the fights.
The combat animations were good, yes.
Yes, they were fantastic.
I'm going to go back and... I'd like to talk, at least for my part, all of the, like, visual, aesthetic, everything. I'd like to talk about that as a whole bundle, probably once we're done talking through the show.
Okay. So I'll go back. You don't have to respond with your thoughts of that kind of thing?
Yeah.
But, like...
I will go back and revisit that whole thing myself sometime in the second half.
Gotcha.
Because I have a lot to say about it. I'm going to just put it together.
Yeah.
That's
fair.
Yeah, no, they're both injured after Bemla leaves, and they bring him back to I'm going to call it 3SP. That makes better sense in my head. They bring him back. Old man is, like, super injured, so they're keeping him under, like, bed rest, and he's, like, in a temporary coma, probably medically induced or whatever.
Yeah.
And then the kid wakes up. Shinjiro wakes up. And they're like, you're fine, your dad's fine, everything's fine, except it's an alien sitting at his bedside.
Yep.
And the note that I wrote down was, it's IG-88. Do you know what that is?
Nope.
I'm going to look this up while I'm talking. He's one of the bounty hunters from Star Wars. Which Star Wars was it? I think it was original. I'm sending you the link right now. I'll put it in the video upload.
Oh, that thing.
Yeah, he's got the same head.
He's got a similar head, yeah. But I will say, this alien came first. Because this is okay, so I had a very different... So I've read part of the manga. This goes past where I read the manga, but, like, this here I'd read before. And when I initially saw him there, I was, like... I was absolutely, like... Just what the hell is going on right now? Okay? Because Edo is part of the alien Zeton race. And now, in the final 2 episodes, I believe, of the original Ultraman, is fighting against Zeton, who is an alien dinosaur, one of the most powerful beings in, like, what's outside of in space? I'll just say in space. Everything. Out of every alien. Like, he will just go to a planet, one Zeton will go to a planet and wipe out the whole planet.
Okay, yeah, because he did mention that in the episode that I had to go back and watch, was that he was there after they had a failed invasion that was stopped by Ultraman.
Yes. But, and the alien Zeton, which is this guy, it's not the same as Zeton. Zeton is the dinosaur thing. They are, like, they come and, like, set it all up for Zeton, who isn't really, like... He doesn't have a lot going on up here except to destroy. Whereas these guys have more... They can talk and stuff. They cause a bit more chaos, like, that way. And so, seeing him working... In their first battle in Ultraman, like, with Ultraman... Like, he had appeared in Ultra Q before, but... Anyways. when they were battling, like Ultraman initially, I guess spoilers for Ultraman, but like it's not that. It's just watch the fun monster fights, you know. But like the first time Ultraman fought Zeton, he lost. Like he just fully lost, which is pretty wild because Ultraman always wins.
Mm-hmm.
And so seeing him there for me was like, whoa, this is some shit.
So that, so that was another like actually established one.
Yes, an established thing, yeah. But still, they still tell you that there was like a failed invasion. So I don't think like you didn't get quite the impact that I did, but like still.
But it is still laid out for me, so I understand the
importance. That he's working.
The gravity
with.
of it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and I'm almost 100% positive that every alien that shows up in this 13 episodes has already been established within the franchise.
All of the named ones, or all of them?
All of them. They might have different designs, but like they are all established.
Yeah, because like we already talked a little bit about how Bemilar is like quite different.
Yes, he looks very different. But yes.
I'm curious to see what the original case of the four-eyed goblin man is then.
Oh yeah, I'll try to get a picture for you during the break. Yeah, so then so Edo asks Shinjiro, and Shinjiro is kind of like, he's kind of hesitant, a bit, because like, of course, like, hey, do you want to be Ultraman and save the world?
Those are big shoes to fill in.
Yeah. And so he's kind of like, all right, well, I'll try it out, kind of deal. At least that's kind of like the vibe I got from it. He was like, I'll do like a trial run, more so than just fully committing,
Yeah, and so they have him do like a couple of like small scale, quote unquote small scale missions, like get this guy out of a traffic pileup, instead of go fight world-ending monsters.
Yep. And then this is where we meet. If you know the Ultraman franchise,
I do not.
I know this is a very big name. This is Dan Moroboshi. Yeah, there's no impact on you.
You gave that room to settle, and I just kind of looked at it and was like, that's his name.
Okay, so, yeah, sure, whatever. I'm going to spoil it a little bit for the show. Wow, it's not like it takes it that long. Anyways, Dan Moroboshi is Ultra 7. He is the man who is Ultra 7, but, like in the original series, Ultra 7. But he is not just a human who is hosting Ultra 7. That is his human disguise, is Dan Moroboshi. That is Ultra 7. Just pure and simple. And he comes back all the time. He's the father of Ultraman Zero, my personal favorite Ultraman. Ultra 7 has multiple different series dedicated just to him. He's a fan favorite. But it makes sense that that we see him next, and like if you're a fan of Ultraman, you're like, okay, well he's gonna have he's gonna be another Ultraman,
Yeah, whereas I did not see that coming, obviously, because he's just some guy from the Foundation.
Yeah, exactly. And so
yeah, I have a feeling that me having not seen a single other series, that I'm not the target audience of this.
Well, here's the thing. I would argue yes and no. Right? Because I think this is a pretty solid way to get into the franchise. It's 13 episodes, which is like to most anime watchers is nothing, And it has a lot of the same feel as a lot of other Ultraman stuff, but it is also fairly different from a lot of other Ultraman stuff. So it is its own beast. But I don't think you're necessarily not the target demographic, if you get me.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't have to have seen the old stuff, but I feel like I'm missing out on a lot by not having done so.
You're missing out. It's more like on Easter egg things, I think, rather than like fully getting it, you know, if that makes sense.
Mm.
You know, it's kind of like if somebody had never experienced Star Wars, okay, just a hypothetical, and the first one they watched was 7, which is only fan service, or episode 7, I should say. That movie is literally only fan service. It's a garbage movie, and it rehashes the plot of the original Star Wars. It's like them watching that first. You know?
I suppose.
Because there's parts where, like, when the Millennium Falcon is just shown on screen, you're like, oh, the Millennium Falcon. You know, and, like, when you see, like, C-3PO and stuff like that. Like, if you had no experience with Star Wars, and this was your first one, you're going to be like, why is, like, okay, cool. You know?
Yeah. I guess. I see where you're coming from. It occurs to me, though, there's also one other bit. You mentioned that Moroboshi is Ultra 7. There is a comment where they ask him which suit he's using, and he's like, I'm using the 7.0.
Yes, which I was curious how they were going to name him that. Like, how he was going to get the name 7. Because in the original, he's called 7 because he's the 7th member of the Ultra Guard. So that's how he gets the name Ultra 7. It's just that simple. It was really nice to see that, like, I figured that would be, how it would go, I mean, is that he would have version 7.0. But then, like, what are they going to do when 80 gets introduced? Oh, yeah, this is the version 80 of the suit.
Yeah, no, we've come out with a new prototype every day.
Yeah. But 80 won't show up for a while if this season is any indication.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, no, so it was fun to see him, and, but before we get into his, like, whole, like, initial, I know I talked about it a little bit, but, like, his whole, like, actual, like, introduction of the suit. You know, there is a bit with him before where they go to the underground, or, like, the underworld of, you know, the Tokyo or whatever, like the alien street, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And
we're actually skipping one pretty important segment. That's, like, right after it.
Oh, is that it? Okay? That's after it. Okay. You pick this one up here. I was thinking this happened before, but no, you're right.
Yeah, no. There's basically another episode in there. At the end of, like, the trial period, when he first teams up with Moroboshi, it's his first, I guess, kill quest, basically, where they send him out to a warehouse. They're like, there's an alien in here you're going to exterminate. And he's like, exterminate? Why would I do that? And then Moroboshi's because, like, they're all terrible. Just do it.
Yes.
I send him in, and I called him Snake Man. That's just what I wrote down for the character.
I don't remember what the name of the alien was. You keep talking, I'll look it up.
But they fight a little bit, and then he escapes, and they go into the city, and they're all like, oh no, we've been keeping the secret, what do we do now? And Edo is like, nah, it's cool, we're going public now. And so he fights like out in the open against this guy. There's a couple of, like, sort of cool bits. Like, there's, like, he hits the Snake Man and he splits into a whole bunch of little ones. And he just does this big laser beam and blows them all up. Is this also the episode where he learns how to fly? I think it is. That might be later.
That's later.
That is later?
That's very much later.
Okay, I couldn't quite remember.
Yeah.
And they also introduce the concept of his suit having a limiter that they can undo, which makes him, like, super powerful for 3 minutes, but then he's just out of the fight.
Which, that's to hark back to Ultraman. All the Ultras, basically all the Ultras, once you transform into Ultraman, you have a 3-minute time limit. It's also the same reason that the Evangelions, when unplugged, have a 3-minute time limit. Just a little Easter egg. Because Evangelion is basically just Ultraman fanfiction.
I'll take your word on that.
Well, oh, I can't believe I forgot his name. Who directed that?
I don't freaking know. I only watched like 3
Evangelion?
episodes of it.
Oh no! What's his name? How could I forgot his name?
Of course, it won't tell me. It's all just giving me information about the director's cut. When I Google Evangelion... Oh, wait, no. It's because it auto-completed. No, disgusting.
Evangelion director is...
Kazuya Tsurumaki and Hideaki Anno?
Hideaki Anno! Yeah, in college, he made a Ultraman fan film himself. And he's also directing the new movie, Ultraman.
Oh, it's getting a movie.
It has got... Not this series. It's like a Toku movie.
Yeah, no, Ultraman is getting a movie.
Ultraman has had... It gets like at least one movie a year for each show. But yes, this is like a full...
So many.
Because it's good?
The only other anime I know with that many things getting turned out is Pokemon. And those movies... Those movies kind of dropped a bit.
Yeah, well... Ultraman is good. It doesn't like just have the same characters every time.
No, it has Ultraman every time.
It's a different Ultraman. Sometimes you got G, sometimes you got X, sometimes you got Orb, sometimes you got, Rube.
You're just throwing random words at me now, bud.
Taiga. Ginga. That's just the new generation.
Yeah, no. They finished up the fight with Snake Man, and then he's like, okay, we're going to go get information, and this is when they go to the alien city.
Yes.
Or alleyway. They go through like a back alleyway Moriboshi and Shinjiro do.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, all of the aliens live here. Most of them stay in disguise. Most aliens can transform into human at will, human shape. The others that don't will get like devices that make them so they can just like hide among people, but they all like live here.
Yes.
And there's also a guy. I'm going to assume we meet a fella. I wrote down his description as Chad Shaggy. His name is Jack. Okay. Is he someone from an old series? I'm assuming he is.
Oh, yeah, kind of. His is weird.
Well, okay. What's the background on Chad Shaggy?
Okay, so his name's Jack, right? And oh man, he's really weird because there's Ultraman Jack.
Yep.
Okay, that's the okay, so here's why he's called Ultraman Jack, because in Return of Ultraman he was just called Ultraman, but they were like, okay, no, we need to distinguish him from the original. Like they did this like a while later, and they're like, okay, he's Ultraman Jack is his canon name. So he's Ultraman Jack, but like Jack is not the name of his host. The name of his host is Go. So I'm not 100% sure what they're doing with Jack, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, because they describe him here as like he's like a human, but is treated as alien or something weird like that.
Yeah, he grew up here and can only survive here, basically.
Yeah, so I don't know what that's all about. Because he's also, like, super strong. Like, we see him... He's Moriboshi's informant. And we see him in a boxing ring with a giant Godzilla-looking fella.
No, that's Black King. Which I knew... It's a very different design than the original Black King, but I knew it was Black King. I knew it! Oh, I knew it! And I did... And, like, when I was looking up the character list and stuff, I saw Black King listed, clicked through, and it was that guy's picture.
Then Jack punches him in the face, and he goes down.
Yes. Jack is very strong.
And they go talk, and he's like, "You're Ultraman's kid, aren't you?" And he's like, "What?" I forget what the information they were actually looking for here. What were
they were looking for anything on the serial murders that's been happening.
Right. Yeah. Because that had started now. So my notes are missing a little bit of information because episode 3, I mentioned I had to buy a Netflix subscription to finish this. Is because the website I was watching it on, some of the episodes just didn't work. So episode 3 didn't work, but the ones before it worked fine, the ones after it worked fine. So, because I couldn't really get in contact, I couldn't find a torrent, I couldn't pester him for files. I was just like, okay, I'll find like a very detailed write-up, and I'll read through episode 3. But I guess it didn't stick as well. And so my notes on the later episodes didn't include some of what I would have found out in 3. Yeah. Like the fact that the murders had started. However, it turns out when I got to like episode 8, that 8 through like 12 also didn't run, so that's why I had to go spend my hard-earned working money, dang it.
Just make a new Gmail, get a free trial. That's what you should have done.
Probably. But, I don't know, I've been meaning to watch Witcher for a long time.
It's a good show. Yeah, so we get all this information. Black King attacks Shinjiro, and then they leave. Well, Black King, like, picks him up, and he's like, you smell like Ultraman.
And then Moribachi's like, bruh, stop.
Yeah, he's like, you were supposed to watch him, Jack. And Jack's like, my B.
Jack seems like trouble in this show.
Yeah, he very much does.
Like, I think he's a good dude, but he's trouble.
He's, like, reliable, but he'll also fuck with shit. You know?
That's a good way to describe it, yeah.
Yeah. So then we meet these 2 cops. That's what happens next, basically.
Yes. Because they're also tracking the murders, and then the 3SP kicks them out and says, we're doing this one. This is us. Get out.
Yeah, and then they're like, nah, fam. Or like the older cop's like, nah, fam. This is my case. So he kind of goes rogue. And his underling is like, well, I'll follow you to hell and back, buddy. And helps him continue on.
What I think is interesting is, so they end up finding out that it's like an alien involved in the murders. No shit. Yes. And they find him, and then they're just kind of like, oh, that's why the 3SP took over. It's like, obviously, why else would they get involved? They're not even supposed to exist. I don't know. I thought, it's like, come on, dude.
Well, I think it's partially because, like, aliens had just become public knowledge, kind of. That whole thing is kind of weird. Because if this is a direct sequel to Ultraman, you would imagine that aliens would be a public knowledge because aliens were terrorizing for, like, half a year or a year or something.
Yeah, but
aliens were terrorizing.
They've also been gone. Like, they said that it's been, like, 12 years since the last sighting.
Right. So maybe they just didn't believe that aliens were back. But no, I do agree, it is a little weird. That, like, they were kind of just like, oh, so it is aliens.
Yeah, no, I feel like they should have picked up on that.
Yeah.
But we find there's also a pop star. I think it's important to mention her now.
I was just about to mention her.
Something. I forget what her performer name is.
Sayama.
Oh, that is the performance name?
Yeah, that's the performance name.
Okay, Reina Sayama. Yeah, and she's she's outspoken about her love for Ultraman on, like, TV and stuff. And there's this, like, 4-eyed goblinoid. I shouldn't call him goblinoid. I mean, like,
it's the alien Igaru.
He's a Reddit troll, basically. You're sitting in the dark with, like, 17,000 posters of Diana. No, he's that, like, obsessive, like, fan that doesn't go outside.
Yeah, that's not how I normally picture a troll, though. I think of a troll as somebody who fucks with people for fun.
That wasn't quite the right phrase, but you know what I'm getting at.
Yeah, he's a Reddit goblin.
Yeah.
Let's call him that. You like the goblinoid term.
Well, see, I don't really like that here because I usually say, he's the frickin' goblin in sort of like an endearing manner. Like, I call my roommate's cat a goblin.
You don't like alien Igaru?
No, he's being frickin' creepy, dude. Like, he has redeeming moments, but the way he's introduced is...
Yeah, well, it's the way he's introduced like that to put suspicion onto him for the viewer.
Yeah, because he's trouble.
But he's...
How many people sit in a room with all the lights off with, like, 20 posters of the same person. The same person. Oh, are you looking at all your Ultraman posters, you freaking dork?
No. I don't have the same person all over my wall.
Yeah, please. I have variety. You can see that.
Okay. I will say, though, when it comes to Igadu, I am a little bit biased as to why I like him. Okay. Because he is my favorite Ultraman kaiju. Which is Pigmon.
Oh,
he looks very different. But I love Pigmon. Pigmon is great. He's a good kaiju. He's the helper. He's a helper. He's human sized, and I love Pigmon. I'll send you images after.
Jeez. Okay. And the reason it's important to mention about the idol is because the next big reveal we get, the detective's assistant is like, dude, why are we going rogue on this case? Shouldn't we just let the other people handle it? And he's just like, look, if someone was killing people following your daughter, wouldn't you want involved? Turns out the detective is Popstar's dad.
Yep. And with that information, we're going on break.
Okay, that tracks.
We're leaving it on a cliffhanger. Unless you've seen the show, then you know what happens.
I mean, that's the case for literally every one of our episodes, okay?
Oh, well.
We'll be back
right,
for the second half of Ultraman 2019. I don't know if it has to be called Ultraman 2019, but that's all I'm going to call it.
It does differentiate it, but you don't have to. You just say Ultraman.
Ultraman 2019, very shortly.
Welcome back to the second half of A Shot of Weeb, where we're talking about Ultraman. Hell yeah.
2019.
Yes, the 2019 anime. Alright, so before we get into it too much, we got a shot to take.
Gotta remember where I put, there it is. Had to find my Sprite.
Kampai.
Come back.
Oh, man. Oh, that's good stuff.
I can never get it all in one. I always leave a little bit behind. Why?
I don't know. Alright, so where were we at?
I probably just pour them too big.
Probably.
Shinjiro is getting more used to his suit. He goes on a oh, we've already talked about this. We're farther.
Yeah, we're like in the middle of the investigation right now.
Yeah, this is actually when the fight between, what'd you call him, Black King? I wrote down Godzilla.
No, that's a different thing.
No. I have this here in 6. This is when Jack... Oh, right. You mentioned that he just picks him up, but they end up in an actual fight around this time, like a fight in the city square.
Yeah, because Jack is like, all right, I got to teach him.
Mm-hmm. And this is where we also find out, I wrote his name down as Edgy Boss. This is where people who aren't familiar with the source material find out that Moroboshi is also an Ultraman.
Yeah, which I want to say, okay, it was so cool the way they introduced him. Because they had 2 eye sluggers just go through the window and into the wall. The eye slugger is his mohawk knife thing.
Oh, okay.
It's called the eye slugger. It's
Oh,
Ultra
it's a weird
7's signature weapon. It's so cool. When I saw that, I got chills, honestly, because I was like, yes, that's the way to do it, baby. I love that weapon.
I wish I could have that same feel. I'm sure there's things that I'm sure there's things that I've seen that are similar, but the only thing I can think of is a story my dad used to tell me about when he was watching the Lord of the Rings movies in theaters. You've seen them, I'm sure. Yes.
Oh yeah.
In spoilers for Lord of the Rings, I guess.
We're spoiling everything
That's
today.
Old. Yeah, My dad would tell me about how he specifically remembers when he was watching the third movie in theaters, and the butterfly or moth, what was it?
I don't
flies over at the end of the at the end of the third movie, right in time for all the like good guys to show up. Whatever. It's been years since I've watched this, so I'm a little rusty.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure it's about the circumstance. And my dad told me, he's like, when he finally came back, because it was a symbol earlier in the series, he's like, yes. I can imagine that's similar to how you're feeling.
It was about it, yeah. Oh, yeah. Just seeing the Eye Slugger in all its glory.
Oh, wait, no, hold on. I've got... Can I spoil another show?
What is it?
Okay, I'm going to put like an actual spoiler warning here. I'm going to talk about Endgame for a second.
Okay.
So I'm going to put like a moment of buffer on that, because that's new enough that someone might actually be bothered.
And still care, yeah.
Yeah. Okay? You've had time. We're good. Have you seen Endgame?
Yes.
Yeah. So at the end, when all the fucking portals started opening, and like everybody's coming through, and it's like all the people from the last like 15 years of movies, and I'm just like, it's all of them! Ow, I just hurt my neck.
Yeah, no, that's about how it was, yeah. Yep. That's almost the same feeling I had, yeah. And
yeah, no, because I remember...
This, 7 is even my favorite Ultraman. He's not even in top 5. I love him, but he's not in top 5. Like...
That's fair, yeah. Because, like, again, you mentioned Chills. That's exactly because I watched that in theaters with Andy the Spoon Man, if you know him.
Yes, I do know him.
And I lost my shit when that happened.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, no, I can get that. And this is when he starts flying. And yep. I specifically wrote down... Because, like, they all mention it all at the same time. Because he's like, I'm flying. And then Moriboshi goes, he's flying. And the crowd is like, he's flying. And then I wrote down, he's flying.
It was really good. It was really funny.
Yeah, because the Discount Godzilla threw him at, a crowd. Threw him at the crowd. And he's like, I can't let that happen. Float.
Yep. Yeah, so he figured out how to fly,
by accident,
which is something that most Ultramen can do, if not all of them. I think all of them can fly.
Well, Ultra 7 said that he couldn't fly.
Well, not in this show. The actual one, not the suit. But yeah, so we get that whole fight, and it's a really cool fight. And I believe we get like a little conversation between Shinjiro and Rena, where
yes, right after, right before that, actually, we get a little bit more information on what was his name, Ikuru, not the Pigmon.
Yeah, Ikuru.
We find out, like, his quote-unquote backstory. He used to be, like, a prince of his alien people, but he's the only one left now.
Yep. So he spends all his time on Reddit.
Yeah, basically. But, yeah, no, and then Shinjiro has a little talk with Reina. Because he has been around her once before he knew she was her, because some bullies were, like, pestering the three girls, and he's like, hey, how about you don't, and snaps the guy's leg.
Yeah, they've kind of like bumped into each other a few times,
and she never remembers him. Like, it takes like till the 4th time they meet.
To be fair, like 2 of those times were in the Ultraman suit.
No, I mean like instances where she met like actual Shinjiro.
Oh, yeah. It has only been a couple times, but, like, I understand. She has to go to all these handshake events, like...
Oh, yeah, no. I'm not saying that's...
Oh, no. I know you're not.
Dumb or a problem. I just think it's entertaining.
It is really funny, yeah.
Because he's always like, oh, do you remember me? And she's like, no.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. And so we get that, all of that, and then all of this is leading up to the big fight in the Coliseum area thing that she's having a concert at.
Yes. I'll let you take this one because there's a lot to unpack here.
Okay. So she is having her concert. I'm going to start there. She's having her concert. Both Moroboshi and Shinjiro are there. Both of the cops are there. Her dad and then her dad's like little minion guy are there. And then obviously her manager is there. And like in the middle of her show, she's like saying, "Hey, Ultraman, can you answer this question for me? Like, are you actually, if you're all about justice, then how come you let people get hurt? Why do you hurt people to try to save other people?" Kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, because she had mentioned in Shinjiro's previous meeting, I cut you off before you said this, I apologize.
No, you're fine.
She mentioned in Shinjiro's previous meeting that she actually had a bone to pick with Ultraman, because he walks up being like, "Hey, you like Ultraman? I like Ultraman. Isn't he cool?"
Yeah.
And she's like, "No, my mom's dead because of her." And he's just kind of like, "Oh."
Yeah. And so then, WWE style, Agent Adad comes out of the fog. And the manager's like, "Oh, this is so cool. You did that. You got this past, like, you did a surprise for me too? That's crazy." And they're like, "We didn't plan this." And this really menacing looking alien with all these, like, this black and white stripes and sharp teeth come out. And of course, he is an alien from other Ultraman series. He is an alien Dada. Would you like to know why he's called Dada?
Why would that be?
Well, have you ever heard of the art movement Dadaism?
No.
Well, that's where it comes from. His design is very different here.
Mm-hmm. Well, you can tell he's different because they reversed his name.
Well, that's just his, like, actual name. It's not his name of his race. No, his design is very different. He normally has this, like, massive head that can have, like, I believe it's 3 faces. And like a really, like, a skin type bodysuit. He's not normally, like, jacked like he is here. He doesn't look like a WWE wrestler normally. We'll put it that way.
He really does. The way he talks and looks and acts during this scene, you can understand why everybody thought it was just part of the performance, because he acts like it's part of the performance.
And again, it fits in with that, like, kind of the race of the alien Dada, because they are, like, tricksters and like to play pranks and stuff. Like, that's, like, their general thing. And so him being able to trick the audience this well, it just, like, again plays into that whole it's, I don't want to say stereotype, because it's not a stereotype, it's how they all are. You know what I mean? I don't know, I can't, I'm too far gone to think of the word right now. But
but yeah, he ends up, like, holding up the show, and then both Shinjiro and Moroboshi transform to fight him.
Yep.
And he throws, like, a bunch of bombs around. He blows up. He starts blowing up lights, and Ultraman has to, like, fly around and catch them.
Yep.
At one point, he blows
Ultra
up
7.
Yeah, because, well, at first it's just Ultraman, but then he blows up 2 of them at other ends of the room. Mm-hmm. And Ultraman can fly 7 can't at this point. So Shinjiro flies towards one of them, and then Moroboshi is like, "Hey," to me, jumps at him, and they kick off each other.
Yeah.
To reach to the opposite, and that was really cool.
It was so sick.
That was slick.
Yep. And then he destroys the roof.
Mm-hmm.
And is like,
and
all
so
right, make your choice. You can either let all of these people die to save her, or you can let her die to save all of them.
Yeah, because Shinjiro's holding the roof, and Adad has a knife to the end of his throat.
Yep.
Moroboshi is doing something. I don't remember what. He's just doing his own thing.
I think he was injured.
Was he?
Or no. Bimular had already shown up, so he was trying to deal with that too.
Right, yeah, because he turns up and is like, "Aha, I'm here.
Yeah.
It's me, Dio."
And Agent Adad is just like, oh, I see you're here too. Chill.
He's like, whatever, just I'm gonna keep doing my thing.
Yep. And so then, before Shinjiro has to make a choice, Igaru drops from the sky and dies.
Basically, that's the long and short of it. But he saves Rena.
Yeah, he saves Rena. And during that time, Shinjiro is able to throw the roof, use his spacium beam, to destroy.
Spacium.
Yeah, that's what the subtitles say, but that's not right. It's spacium. This one's like for sure, it's spacium. Because all the Ultramen have a different type of ray. Generally, from what I've seen, have a different type of ray. His is spacium. Destroys the roof so it doesn't hurt anybody. So he doesn't just throw it, like let it land on other innocent people.
Which I thought he was about to do.
Yeah. I knew better, but I was also like, how is he going to do this? And then I was like, oh yeah, of course, the spacium ray that makes things explode.
Yeah, I feel like that wouldn't do it though, because now you've just got chunks of roof falling everywhere.
No, it's completely gone. It
He's
explodes
like,
into a
summons a mouse pointer, select, delete.
Basically, it just explodes it into like a quadrillion different pieces. Too small to hurt anybody.
No, so the big one is dead.
Yep. And then Bemular's like, I see you've decided to be Ultraman. I'm about to head out.
Yeah, and she just dips again.
Yep.
Which is wild.
Yeah. And then
pardon my chair sounds.
So then Dada, or Adad, I should say, Alien Adad, is like
monologues.
Yeah, well, first he explodes all the bombs, and it turns out they were just confetti. And he was like, "I'm actually with what was the name of it, of the group?
Star Cluster.
The Star Cluster Alliance. Is that it?
I think it was another C. I think it was a second C. Star Cluster Command.
Something like that. Yeah, it was something like that. He's like, I'm actually with them, and I'm sent to kill rogue aliens. That's my job. And so then he monologues for a bit, and it's like, I'm actually a good guy. And we're like, oh, chill. Because it's also, if you're a fan of Ultraman, you know that it's not, like, any alien can be good or bad. Generally, there's some that are always bad. Like, Zeton himself is almost always bad. As far as I know, he's always bad. The alien Zetons, like Edo is, aren't necessarily bad always. I hope that makes sense.
What's funny is when he tries to monologue, Shinjiro is like, how could you? You're fighting. Like, let's end this. And then Moriboshi's like, no. I'm interested.
Yeah. Yep. And so then they're able to save Rena and everybody else at the concert.
Yeah, well, there's a little bit of resolution here.
There is.
I'm gonna detour.
Go for it.
Because he's like, when he's like, I'm actually a good guy, and they're like, so you mean to tell me that Igaru was the villain? And he's like, that's what you should think, but he's not.
Yep.
It turns out the bad guys are these random high schoolers in the crowd.
So
that had been like bullying / blackmailing, whichever it is, Igaru.
Yeah.
To go attack whoever he disagreed with, whoever they disagreed with.
So did you have like? Because I pretty much knew it wasn't going to be Igaru, right? I was like, there's no way it's going to be Igaru. They're setting him up too much for it to be him. You know?
Oh yeah, no, I thought it was Igaru.
Really? Okay.
Up until they showed the scene of him getting beaten up and having his translator stolen.
So here's who I thought it was going to be right before he like revealed it. I thought it was going to be like the head of the operation to try to like of killing all these people who dislike Reina. I thought it was going to be her manager.
Okay.
Right? Because her manager the whole time had kind of shown her like we had heard her say, "Oh, my manager was really worried about these guys that were following me, but I wasn't that worried." You know, it was like these like subtle hints, and I was like, oh, it's for sure the manager. He's definitely going to be like that creepy manager who's like a piece of shit.
No, it turns out the manager's just kind of a dork.
Yeah, which I honestly, I'm glad. Because I've seen that manager thing play out enough times at this point.
Hey, I've not. I would have been fine with it.
Yeah. But yeah,
I think the only idol manager I've seen before this point, I don't remember his name, is Zombieland Saga, and he's just weird. Not bad, just weird.
He's great. Yeah, so we get that whole resolution, but now Reina is like, she has to be careful about what she does regarding Ultraman stuff, because of like publicity, all that jazz, the fun stuff that comes with being an idol and a public figure. So you want to take it over here?
Yeah, so the next like arc involves a third Ultraman showing up. There's a freshman at Shinjiro's school who knows Shinjiro as Ultraman, and then we also get a segment where we see the kid being an Ultraman, and he's, unlike the more like serious Moroboshi or rookie Shinjiro, he has Deadpool energy. He's just kind of goofing off while he does his thing.
Yeah.
And he's also a little more morally gray. He's like blackmailing people for money because he doesn't get 3SP funding like everyone else does.
Did they ever say what his Ultraman name was in the show?
I don't think they did. He just called Shinjiro older brother because he was Ultraman first.
Yes.
And we know that his suit is only like half a suit and half of it is like special limbs because he's like got robot limbs.
Okay. So that's Ultraman Ace, which is the... Okay. Pay attention.
Oh, no.
It is the 5th Ultraman to show up in the franchise. It is also the 5th series in the Ultra franchise. The 4th Ultraman series. So, like, Ultraman, Ultra 7, the Return of Ultraman, and then Ultraman Ace. The only one who hasn't shown up yet, even in name, at least I believe. And now I could be wrong. You know, I didn't do much research on it, but it is Zoffy, who is technically the second Ultraman to ever appear, because he shows up at the end of Ultraman.
What do you mean the only one who hasn't showed up in like this series?
Yes, this series, yeah.
Wait, did they literally cram pretty much every Ultraman into the series?
Up through Ace, yeah.
Wait, who are the others? Because, like, there were 3 active Ultramans. You said Jack was one, you said Shin was one.
No. Okay, so Jack is not... Yeah. Okay, so the first 5 Ultramen to appear is Ultraman, Ultraman Zoffy, Ultra 7, Ultraman Jack, and Ultraman Ace. That's the first 5 Ultramen in the franchise.
Okay, and which one's Zoffy again? This kid?
No, the kid is Ace. Zoffy has not appeared in this show.
Okay.
Yeah. Which does make sense because Zoffy only has like a very... I think his first appearance is in the last episode of Ultraman. He's like Ultraman's superior on their planet.
Okay.
In the Ultra Garrison.
How many more Ultramen from previous series appear in this show?
This is all... I'm pretty sure this is it.
So it's just those 4?
Yes, it's just those 4 so far.
You made it sound like there was a whole bunch more of them crammed in that I just didn't notice.
Oh, no, sorry. No, it's just these 4 so far. But I'm almost positive others show up later. But they're kind of going in order, I was interested to see what Jack's suit would look like because he looks almost identical to Ultraman. And so does Zoffy, by the way. Those 3 look almost identical. Zoffy has these like things right here. They're like dots, but it's like war medallions. And then Ultraman Jack has an extra line underneath his chest. And like around all the other red parts, he has like an extra line, a red line. So I was curious to see how those suits would look different, but unfortunately they didn't show up, which you know.
Yeah, Jack never suits up. He's relegated completely to side character in this.
Yeah. Which hopefully, I hope he becomes more significant later on.
Is there a season 2 coming of this?
Yeah, this year, supposedly. Unless COVID messed up their schedule. Which is possible. But yeah, so we get to meet Ace, which I don't know much about Ace. I've not seen his show yet. I mean, I'm in the middle of Return right now. And I'm watching those in order. I'm doing a weird order. But I haven't seen any of Ace yet. But I do know, you might like this. He has a nickname by the fandom. He's known as the Guillotine Prince.
Yeah, that makes sense because he had that laser between his wrists. Oh, that's the other thing. This happened a while ago, but I feel I should mention. So, like, Ultraman has, like, same thing Zambot had, where there's, like, this weird pose that he does whenever he does, like, a laser move or whatever. Yeah, where he, like, crosses his arms in front of him, one upright, one vertical. They explain that in this. There's, like, connectors on his wrists that he has to put together. That's why he does that.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he just does that because that's in the original, because just that's how he... It's like the ninja hand signs in Naruto. That's the only way to get it to work. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but in this one they gave like a legitimate explanation for why it needs to be.
Because it would be
which
weird.
I always like when they do that.
Yeah, I see. It would be weird in this one for him to like just do that. Though they could play it off for him as he's like a big fan of Ultraman, and just like Ultraman always did this, so he's gonna do that. You know what I mean? But I do like that they gave it an actual explanation for the suit.
Yeah, because it's some sort of circuitry thing, which like you connect it and that lets him channel the beam.
Yeah, and he also has the disc. I don't remember what it's called, but it's like a disc of energy that he can throw. It's like a saw blade.
Yeah, but that one's more like thinky power because.
Well, he puts his hands together, and then that way it circulates the energy to let it.
Yeah, because Ida was like, just focus the energy between your hands.
Yep, and it worked. And all of those are moves that Ultraman has, by the way, which I'm sure you guessed.
Yeah, it's the Zambot cutter.
Oh boy, you got some work to do.
I'm gonna speed forward because we're kind of falling behind. Lana shows up at the Ultraman Museum, and it's just kind of like, but it's like closed, and so she leaves. Yep. And she thinks that just wearing fake glasses is a completely fine disguise.
Yep.
We see Ace, as you call him. I'm going to call him Ace because it's easier to remember.
Go for it. Yeah, that's what I'm going to call him.
Does his like Deadpool thing where he's just kind of like goofing off while he fights these two different mafias that are fighting each other.
Yeah.
He gets taken in by the 3SP and is like, "Hey, I want to join y'all," and they're like, "What?" We get a little bit of backstory on him. He was in some sort of accident.
I mean, I think we can say which accident it was.
I don't think we know at this point yet. At this point in the show, we don't find out for a few more episodes.
Okay, I was just gonna say it. I didn't think it mattered too much, but okay, you can keep it.
That's
secret.
fair. It was the plane explosion at the beginning.
Yeah, which there were no survivors from, according to the reports.
Yeah, turns out Bemular saved him,
and a couple,
and brought him to this red alien mechanic man. I just call him the Red Mechanic.
Yeah, that's fine.
Who fixed him up, gave him robot arms, and raised him. He fakes paperwork to get into Shinjiro's school to get closer to Shinjiro, because he wants to get into the society. Shinjiro and Moroboshi show up and stop Ace from extorting people for money, because he's like, "You're Ultraman, and that's a bad thing. You're no good." Mm-hmm. And then they fight, and they fake you out. Like, I thought Moroboshi just straight up killed him.
Oh, did you? Oh, I knew. Maybe it's because I knew that he, like, I don't know what it was, but I knew he didn't kill him.
As far as I'm concerned, everyone's expendable in this show because I don't know the story behind them. If I'd have known they were all Ultraman, like legitimate Ultraman, yeah, there's no way he's dead.
Yeah, that's probably why I didn't think, honestly, that he had gotten killed. Is because I was like, well, it's Ace. They're not going to kill off Ace.
Well, it's because the way the shot works is Moroboshi, because Moroboshi uses a sword, which is like super cool. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
He does like a slash, and Ace's helmet bounces across the ground towards Shinjiro, and like we've seen that happen with aliens before, and it's their head. So I'm like, oh, he's just dead.
No, like I totally understand why you thought he did.
Because that was the implication.
No, that definitely was the implication. Yeah. No. I think having that prior knowledge, like I just kind of knew that they weren't going to kill off Ace, because right now, at least, we haven't seen any way for them to bring people back to life. Whereas in the Ultra canon, the Mother of Ultra has brought people back to life before, and so have other people. Yes, there's a Mother and Father of Ultra. There's also the Ultra King, or the King of Ultra. I never remember. I always got confused. But that's Ultraman King and Ultra Woman Marie. It's the father and mother.
After this, there's a completely not important sequence, but it is my favorite thing in the whole show, and I'm just going to be upfront that I thought this was the best thing in it. Mm-hmm. Diana shows up at the museum again and hangs out with Shinjiro, and she's getting close to him because she wants information on Ultraman. You know where I'm going.
I know what you're talking about. Yep. It's great. It's fantastic.
They're just talking, and they're having a moment, and I'm like, oh, this is cute.
Yep.
And then he's just like, wait, hold on. What's this feeling of, pure dread?
Yeah.
And so, what I'm thinking is happening is that one of the aliens has gotten in, and he's about to have a fight. And I'm like, oh, this is how Diana finds out he's Ultraman.
I thought he's going to have
to. I'm like, this is how she finds out he's Ultraman, because he's going to have to fight something in front of her. And then he looks around for a moment. He looks. Hold on, I need a second.
Here, I'll finish it. I'll finish it off.
No, I want this.
I'll give it to you. I'll let you have it then.
He looks up on the second floor railing. Sorry, I'm having my little creature moment.
Hey, look, this is your little creature moment.
He looks up on the second floor balcony, and Moroboshi is just glaring at him. And he has this full, fast, silent monologue, but it's conveyed. Yeah. He has this full monologue, I know you're excited that a girl's talking to you and she's famous and you think you might get a little bit of action, but if you spread too much information, I will kill you.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's so good.
It's so good. And so he... Ow. And so he's like, hey, Reina, why don't we go somewhere else? And they start to walk out the door, and he turns around again, and it's pan zooms in on the Claire again, even more intense.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. It's so good. Oh man.
Take over, I can't talk.
Oh man, yeah, no, that scene is fantastic. But so then they go out and they're talking about stuff. It's not super important. It's important enough. But then while they're in the city, there's an alien attack. And Shinjiro's like, oh, let me go call Ultraman. I have his phone number. Which is, first of all, the worst excuse. But
he's done worse excuses before. He slipped up in front of her. He accidentally straight up basically said he was Ultraman. Okay, well, but then corrected it with, that's what Ultraman would say. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, but this is the worst one. Because he says, I'm going to go call Ultraman, and leaves his phone on the table.
Yep.
And she's like, oh, you forgot your... Oh, I see.
Yeah, and that's how she actually
so she figures out he's Ultraman. She had an inkling the entire time, though.
Oh, absolutely, because he kept slipping up.
Yeah, which I actually, honestly, I really like this, how she finds out. Because, in a lot of Ultraman series, because he does the thing where he's like, oh, I gotta go out, and then Ultraman appears, right? And that happens in a lot of Ultraman stuff. But, the cast will just, never put two and two together. They're like, yeah, well...
Yeah, where she catches on
we've never seen Bruce Wayne and Batman in the same room, but they can't be the same person. It's that whole thing. But, they actually let her figure it out here, which is fantastic. Because they don't do that in a lot of other Ultraman stuff.
Yeah, because it's been pretty obvious at this point. She'd have to be stupid to not catch on.
Which also, so this is harkening back to the beginning of the show. when Shin Hayata said to Ide, yeah, I was Ultraman while we were in the SSSP, and Ide's like, yeah, we all knew. Because when you watch that show, you're like, they have to know, right? Because, like, there's no way, like, every time they're like, he's right over there, Ultraman just springs out of the ground. Like, they have to know. And I'm so glad in this, they're like, yeah, we know. It was just such a nice little touch for people who haven't, or who have seen, like, the original. And we're like, the whole time, we're like, they're not this stupid. They can't be. You know?
Yeah.
And so I do like how Reina learns that he's Ultraman. It's a really nice, it really, like, a nice change of pace.
I also like how she handles that information. Because
Yes.
she doesn't just call him on it.
Nope.
So they, like, after he comes back, because he had to split off and save some people, and he comes back and he's like, did Ultraman show up? Was it good? And she's like, yeah, he showed up and he just whooshed away and it was lovely.
Yep.
And she's like, I'm going to be in America for a while. I don't know when I'll be back. By the way, here's your phone back.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
As she's leaving.
And he's like, oh no. But then he chases after her.
And I think it's supposed to give the idea that he still thinks there's a chance she hasn't put it together. Like, maybe he ran off to a payphone or whatever.
Yeah.
But then he, like, sees her standing at the top of the stairs, and she calls him, because they traded contact information. She calls him and is like, thank you for honoring my request at the concert when Ultraman showed up. And that's where they put it. And I'm just like, she's so good.
Right. I loved that they didn't just leave it up to, like, oh, maybe she does, maybe she doesn't know. It's like a final thing, like, yeah, she knows. It's like, you know, like, it seems like more often than not, like, maybe it's not the case, but, like, at least when you notice it, it always seems to be that, like, it's the, like, kind of, like, limbo area of, like, do they or don't they know? And so I'm so glad they were just like, yeah, she knows. You know?
Mm-hmm. But she's chill about it.
Yeah, but she's also chill about it. And she's leaving the country, so she won't be able to, like, tell a lot of people. And even if they would, probably some of them would be like, who's Ultraman?
Yeah, because it's all entirely within, like, probably the same city at this point.
Yeah, probably like Tokyo is what it seems like. But also, walk up to some random person on the street in America and just say, hey, have you heard about Ultraman? And they'll say, who?
Sounds like you're talking from experience.
It's gotten better because Marvel has comics for Ultraman now, but, like...
I mean, heck with that. I think I have some notes. We get, like, a transformation sequence in some of the early episodes. It's just Iron Man.
It's not.
He's just Iron Man.
It's literally not, but okay.
So, like, his powers work differently. His powers don't come from the suit. His powers come from him and are amplified by the suit. It has the same energy as Iron Man.
Okay, I'll give you that. But it is... Okay, all right. It's time. It's gripe time.
Oh, dear. I've started something.
This won't take me very long. When Shinjiro first transforms, he does the whole transformation sequence. He goes like this. Whoa, you can't see that on camera. Okay, but like he puts his hand.
He reaches up.
He reaches up with his hand, just like Shin Hayata did to transform into Ultraman with the Transformer. I don't remember what it's called right now. Just please forgive me. And that's great. But, like, where's Seven's transformation? He just appears out of smoke. I wanted to see his cool transformation because when Dan Moriboshi transforms in Ultra 7, he has these red glasses that he puts to his face. And then he transforms into Ultra 7, and it starts with the head.
Wait.
Or it starts...
Yeah. Are those the glasses from Sekikun? Was that what you were talking about?
Yeah, that's the glasses from Sekikun.
Yo, I'm putting it together.
See, we're finally getting there. But, like, the transformation, it's really cool. It's very, like, 60s, 70s, okay? But he puts the glasses on, and it starts from there. So it's like an overlay, right? And, like, piece by piece, stop motion. So then the helmet comes on, and then, like, the lower face comes on, then the neck, and then it goes, like, you know those pieces that are on his suit that are, like, kind of etched in, like, rings around his, like, chest and stuff?
Yeah.
So each of those rings come on individually, and then the red comes on. I wanted to see that transformation in Ultra 7. Like, it would have been so cool to see, like, a modern version of that, but no. No, we don't get that. He just appears in the smoke. Okay, gripe time over.
Yeah, I'm gonna move this forward a bit. Where were we? We're on the next page. That's where we are.
Haha, the man takes notes.
Yeah, you should try it sometime.
I have before.
So we find out we've gotten a little bit more information by this point. I don't think I noted it. We find out that Bemlar did not blow up the plane. He was trying to stop the people who blew up the plane. It's like basically intergalactic bounty hunters, pretty much.
Yeah.
They are after Hokuto or Ace's family who were on the plane, which is why they blew it up.
Yep.
They have gotten wind that Hokuto is alive, but Hokuto and there's like a girl. Okay. So there was alien people who were sent to Earth to study Earth. The bounty hunters killed them. One of them survived and was taken in and grew up alongside Ace.
Yes.
And so they're after her, but Ace is getting in the way, so they're trying to take out Ace right now to get information on where the girl is.
Yeah.
But Ace figures out that they're up to this, dips out on his own to go after the bounty hunters. Red Mechanic goes to 3SP and is like, please help, he's going to get his idiot self killed.
Yes, because he's basically like the father figure for Ace at this point. He took him in.
Such a good egg. He's a good man.
He's great.
And so Shinjiro and Moroboshi go out to the chateau that they've been hiding out at, that the bounty hunters have been hiding out at. And it turns out Ace had counted on this and was waiting for them to go in to rescue him so that the first two would soften them up for him to go in.
Yes.
He outsmarted their outsmarting.
Yep.
Where is I going with this? Okay. It turns into a big fight. Moroboshi immediately gets dunked on by a bomb on the door.
Yeah.
And Shinjiro goes in to like check on Moroboshi, and then the aliens show up, and they're just absolutely demolishing them. Ace runs in. The aliens are still dunking on them, even with Ace there, because they're just like crazy strong. One of them can blink through space. One of them has plants.
So the leader of this group, we're going to back up a second. The leader of this group has a very unassuming name. You would never believe what the name of the alien is, because he's not an alien, he's a cyborg.
Okay.
His name is Ace Killer. That's his official name. That's his canon name. His name is Ace Killer. He's from the show Ultraman Ace. And his goal is to kill Ace. Believe it or not.
That is a very deep backstory. I'm moved to tears.
Now, his design has been thoroughly changed in this version. It fits the tone better of this show better. But I can't say that I just like it. I don't. If I showed you the original design, I don't think you'll like it.
I liked the Plant Man. He was kind of cool.
Yeah, Nepenthes.
I don't know.
Well, that's his name, is Alien Nepenthes. A member of the Ace Killer Squad.
That makes sense.
I don't know. It's like, I'm not sure. I have very conflicting feelings with Ace Killer. I don't know. But you can continue on. I don't
so the showdown between the three Ultramen and the Ace Killer Squad.
Yes, that's it. Ace Killer Squad.
It takes up 2 full episodes.
Yeah, it's like
an episode and a half, and then a little bit of resolution at the end.
Yep.
I don't actually have much to say about it. It's a very long, very well choreographed fight scene that ends with Shinjiro awakening to his full powers, because he's like, undo the dampeners, and they're like, you can't, they're blocked. And then he figures out the power to do it himself, and then absolutely stomps both of them into the dirt.
Yep. And then a nuke comes from space.
Actually, wait, no. Ace got a kill hit on Ace Killer.
Yep.
And then Ace Killer was like, haha, you killed me once, I'm impressed. And then just stands up and...
Yeah, that's the first time I've died in 300 years.
Yeah, because that makes sense.
Well, because he's a cyborg.
Yeah.
He can't die.
Shinjiro wakes up to his powers, and then they drop a rocket out of a cloaked spaceship that I guess was there the whole time.
Yes.
And everyone's like super bruised and battered, and I'm like, oh, they just die here, because like the way they're looking at it, like the energy that I got, because Ace is like already out cold.
Well, he's presumed to be dead at this point.
Pretty much, yeah, actually. And but like Moroboshi and Shinjiro are both looking at this as it falls in, and Edo is like, they have 8 seconds before it impacts. And the way they're looking at it has the kind of energy of people looking at an imminent demise, knowing they can't do anything about it.
Yep.
And then Bemlar is just like, never fear, I am here.
Yep.
Yeets in, shoots a laser through it into the cloaked ship, which turned out to be this massive fucking ship.
He doesn't just shoot a laser. He shoots...
does it have some big name I don't know about?
Well, he said it. It was the Spacium beam.
Oh, did he actually say it was the same thing?
Yeah, he said Spacium beam. Which is very important, because as far as I know, the only person who can use the Spacium beam is Ultraman. I could be wrong, and if I am wrong, correct me, please, because I want to learn more about the Ultra franchise.
Yeah, because prior to this point, Bemlar is framed as, like, kind of an Ultraman himself, but we don't really know what side he's on. Because he keeps fighting Shinjiro, but he's always talking about Shinjiro growing and getting stronger, so we don't really know what his thing is. Yep.
And here we kind of learn that he is a good guy.
Yeah.
Bemlar is never a good guy.
Because he destroys the rocket, the spaceship, and then flies off with Hokuto to, like, save him.
Yeah.
There's only, like, one other important thing after that. Like, there's a series of resolution bits, but only one of them I wrote down. Jack shows up at the end again with Night Ops gear and kidnaps the Red Mechanic, and that's what we leave on.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's about. That's a lead into season 2.
I don't either, and I'm very excited to find out.
So, I would like to talk for a little bit about the aesthetic. If you have anything to throw in, feel free to do so. And then final thoughts. How's that sound?
Sounds good to me.
Okay. We already mentioned this show was in 3D, in CG. Do you have, like, anything to say on that real quick before I dip into it?
I really like the fights. Once I took it for what it was, I didn't mind it. It had a similar feel to Ajin for me, which aesthetically is not my favorite show. There's a lot of things aesthetically I don't like about this show. And it didn't use... My big thing is that SSSS Gridman uses CG to mimic tokusatsu fights. Like people in suits fighting, right? This show doesn't do that, which I think is a strength that CG would have here, but because they don't do that, it's just not... It's weird. A lot of the just talking segments don't look very good. But I don't mind the character designs. And like I said, once I accepted what it was, that it is CG, I was like, all right, I'm in it now. It's fine. But it was still, I'm just going to keep rambling.
I kind of regret throwing that to you because I'll be completely honest, I'm very surprised. You said about what I was going to say.
Yeah.
The CG of this lends itself really, really well to the suits and to the fight scenes. The fight scenes are choreographed excellently.
Oh, yeah.
And the music is really, really good. I love the soundtrack.
The soundtrack's fantastic. Yes.
The fight scenes look great. The suit looks pretty good. The aliens look not bad. It works with the CG because they're already unrealistic.
Right.
Any of the scenes where it's just people wandering around and talking, in my opinion, look fucking awful. There's so little expressiveness. Like, their eyes move, and their mouths move, but they don't emote, except for, like, very rare exceptions. Mm-hmm. Like, it looks like someone made a stop motion of, like, Barbie dolls, but with a talking mouth.
Yeah.
That's not a problem when they're in the suit, because their mouth's not going to move when it's not in the suit.
Right.
They're in a suit. And the fights, again, the choreography takes precedent over the animation. When they're battling or when they're doing a mission, I'm not a fan of the CG, but they play it pretty well. And I actually have a note about the lighting. The lighting was pretty impressive. The way the reflections, or not the reflections, but like glares and the light plays off of the suit is actually really well done. Mm-hmm. Like, I thought that was pretty impressive. But then you get a shot of just Shinjiro standing around talking to his dad, and he looks like a plastic figurine.
So I want to throw something at you and see if you agree. So there was points when I was watching where because I was watching on my PS4 through the app, the Netflix app,
mm-hmm.
and there were some parts where I almost picked up the controller to start gameplay. Like, it felt like a cutscene that was leading into gameplay. Do you know what I mean? Like, there was, like, certain camera angles where I was expecting the camera to just pan out and then let me go. It was weird. Like, I've never felt that before.
I could see that as, like, a PS3 game. Like, it looks kind of like... It looks kind of like the JoJo's Fighter now that you mention it.
Yeah, exactly. It was so weird. I've never, again, I didn't really have that feeling after around episode 3 when I'd accepted that it was CG. I was like, okay,
it took me a lot longer to acclimate to it, like episode 7.
I think I was just more invested in the Ultraman aspect.
Yeah, I wasn't. This was nothing groundbreaking to me. This wasn't anything I was crazy into.
But, yeah, like those first 3 episodes, I several times almost picked up my controller and then remembered, I'm watching a show. I've never experienced that before. It's super weird. Like, I don't I don't know.
Yeah, no. But yeah, basically that's my complaint, is like, the fight scenes were beautiful. The music was good. The sound design was spotty. There's a few bits where I felt like there was like sounds that should have happened but didn't.
Okay.
There were also a few bits where I felt the layering was a little bit off. Like, I specifically remember one shot of Rena in front of a crowd, and like, you can clearly tell it was a rendered video of the crowd with a Rena model in front of it. Mm-hmm. That kind of off-put me.
Yeah.
And then anything that was just people was not good. But you get into a fight scene and be like, okay, I dig this.
Yeah.
Honestly, that sums up the bulk of my final thoughts. Should I just go ahead and hop into rating?
Yeah, go ahead, hop into it.
This show had good elements. It might... Please take this in moderation. Don't go crazy with this statement. I might watch another Ultraman eventually, now that I know approximately what it's about. Because I assumed it was more just like... Simmer down, bud. It's not going to be for a long time. Because I assumed it was more just like Power Ranger style Monster of the Week, beat it up. And I mean, I'm assuming it still is Monster of the Week. But like, there's room for story, I suppose, if they do it kind of like this was. Unless this was like a lot more story heavy than others. It depends on the series. The story wasn't even that heavy in this.
I can give you one that's not a lot of fighting and mainly story, if you would like.
I might give that a go at some point.
Okay.
The fighting in this was well done. The story and characterization was all right. I feel like it lost a lot of impact by being ugly as dirt. Did I enjoy watching it? Tentatively, yes, but not that much. I wasn't invested as much as a lot of things I've watched. Would I watch it again? Probably not. It's not... I'm trying to figure out where to put it. My instinct is to put it at a 5. 5 technically puts it in the made no sense category, which isn't right. No, that does line up with boring as well. It's in the 5 to 6 range for me. It was okay. It's kind of my thing. It's not my thing like I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be not my jam.
Yeah.
But it dipped into areas that I would have been in on. It just didn't do it very well.
Okay.
So I'm going to... That's going to be either a 5 or a 6. I don't know which yet. I'm going to think on that a little bit more before I properly rate it.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, so, I mean, obviously I have a history with this franchise.
A lot more than I do, that's for
I'm not going to say I'm the most well-versed in Ultraman, because I'm definitely not. I'm still learning new stuff every day, which is something I love. Like, there was a school bus that there's, like, no pictures of on the internet. Anywhere. There's an Ultra school bus that would take the little Ultramen, the little Ultra kids, to school on their planet. It's wild. But like,
I would like to interject one last statement before I forget. I feel like I would have liked the show a lot more if I did have the information you had going into it. Because, like, hearing about how all of these were characters that were previously established, that's really fucking cool.
Yeah. That's one of
not
my
having
favorite
that
things about Ultraman.
Not having that, I feel like I missed a little bit of the show.
Yeah, no, like, that's one of my favorite things about Ultraman too, is like how the lore is. It's like there's so much of it, you know? Like, I love that aspect of it. You can always dig up some weird stuff, like, and here's the cool thing, and also the worst thing, is unless they've changed it recently, everything is canon. Everything ever been said about Ultraman is canon by Tsuburaya and, like, the official, like, sources, obviously, not fan stuff.
Everything a fan has ever said is true.
No, not that. But so, like, there is a lot to learn there. It's one of my favorite things, and so I really liked the general premise of this show, right? Like, the whole, oh, what if nobody else had come to Earth, only Ultraman, and then, like, then you got to figure out what to do when aliens start attacking again, and there's no actual Ultraman. And I liked seeing my boy Ide back. He's my favorite character from the original show. Loved seeing him back. But, like, that being said, like, there's a lot here that I didn't really care for, you know? Like, some of the aliens' designs, I was like, I understand that they you know, reimagine aliens over time, but a lot of this is very drastic. You know? Like, Dada's design is very drastic. Ace Killer doesn't even look like Ace Killer. I 100% guessed when he came on screen, just based on the arc that was going on. Like,
yeah, Iguru seemed to be a pretty big difference as well.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Iguru. I was thinking of a different character. Yeah, he doesn't look like a Pigmon, really, but he is apparently. So I don't know what that's about. So there's a lot of things like that I wasn't a big fan of. Black King looks very different again. A lot of things like that I wasn't as big a fan of, but it's entirely like an aesthetic choice, and I understand why they wanted to do it, you know. The manga, I like those designs a lot more, personally, from what I've seen. I do really like the manga. I need to continue reading it, actually. But, yeah, there's just, like, that CG really does hold it back, I think, in this case. But, well, it holds it back and also propels it forwards, you know? Because, like you were saying, with the choreography, it's fantastic. Like, it really is.
Yeah, because there's a lot of stuff in a fight that you can do in CG that you couldn't do if you had actors in suits.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's a lot you can do in CG you can't do in 2D, too. Just because of how expensive it would be. to get all those different camera angles, So there is a lot here that I think is good and a lot of promise that it shows. Obviously, I'm very excited for season 2. It's Ultraman. I'm going to watch it. I mean, the Hanna-Barbera cartoon was bad, but, like, it's still Ultraman at the end of the day, even though it was Ultraman Scott. Oh, man, that's a different day. Different day. Yeah, so, I mean, in the end, I gave this a 7. Though, I mean, I will admit, I don't think you'll like it as much if you don't know anything about Ultraman.
We rated that a lot closer together than I expected.
Oh, did you think I was just going to absolutely love this show?
I thought you were either going to love it or despise it. I figured it was going to be an extreme. Okay. I didn't know which extreme, but I thought it'd be one of them.
That's fair assessment, is how I generally go.
Because I thought you were either going to be like, dude, this is Ultraman, I fucking love it. Or I thought you were going to be like, this is not what Ultraman stands for. It's terrible.
No, it has a lot of the core themes of Ultraman, which is what I really liked about it, too. And I did like the suit designs. Like, it really does look like the Ultraman counterparts that they are. But, yeah, it's just one of those that's like, it's fine. I mean, I'll watch the second season. I mean, I'm excited for the second season, of course. But I am not in any rush to rewatch it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So yeah, that's kind of my overall thoughts about it. I don't know. I love Ultraman, and I don't think I'll ever stop loving Ultraman, honestly. It has kind of become a core part of myself at this point. So yeah, I highly recommend it. Before we just head out, if you did like this show or like the feel of it, or there's some aspects you like, I want to give you some suggestions.
Yeah, because even I might
Right.
consider this. Like you've mentioned. I'm sorry. I'm gonna
go for it.
Steal a spotlight for like a split second. This seems to be whether intentional or not. I think intentional, pretty lore heavy, because like the sounds of it, a lot of stuff builds off each other.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that.
Yeah.
You viewers might know that I'm really into World of Warcraft. And that's because there's like 30 years of story there, and I just bite into that, and I'm like, dude, this is my jam. And honestly, if anything gets me into Ultraman, it's the fact that there's just that long of a history of interconnected everything.
Yeah, 55 years of lore. Yeah. So, I mean, I started with the original, the Ultraman. So, not Ultra Q. But Ultraman, I think it's a really good place to start. I mean, it's hard to, discount the original as being a good place to start. But it is old, so if you don't like old effects, you're probably not going to like it. But if you like old effects, I would also recommend Ultra Q. If you want something, if you didn't care about the monster fights as much and wanted some more of that mystery that it threw in, I would highly recommend Neo Ultra Q. It's one of my favorite things in Ultra. It's only 12 episodes, and each episode is its own story. It's a self-contained thing, big mystery. I love it so much.
That might be where I go if I get into it.
I think you would really like it. It has some sillier episodes too, but it also gets very dark at times. Because it is made for adults, rather than like a lot of the Ultraman stuff is made for kids. So just keep that in mind. But if you liked any of the suits that showed up, just watch that show. I mean, like, if you think the suit looks cool, the show's going to be cool.
I am curious what Motorobushi would seem like as a main character.
Yeah.
Instead of just complaining that he doesn't like Shinjiro.
I would recommend it because he is a really cool character. Has like a lot of character growth throughout his show, Ultra 7. If you want to watch some movies, I would recommend the Zero trilogy. It starts with... Okay, let me get this name right. Mega Monster Battle Ultra Galaxy Legends, the movie.
I hate it.
And then you got Ultraman Zero, Revenge of Belial, and then Ultraman Saga. I would highly recommend those three. They're very good. All three of them are very good. And the Mega Monster Battle introduces my favorite Ultra of all time, Ultraman Zero. Love that guy. And then, if you want to watch something more modern, with a lot, like more modern effects and things, any of the newer shows. So Ginga, X, Orb, Jeed, Rube, Taiga, or Zet. Zet, X, and Jeed are probably the three I would recommend. All of those are just around 25 episodes, so it's not too long. X is only 22. And all of those, well, Zet is currently releasing, so you might, it's going to be close. You won't be able to catch the first episode again. They're re-airing it. But you can find that first episode, and you can just watch it weekly if you want. Whereas the Jeed and X are both released legally through Mill Creek, as well as the original Ultraman, Ultra 7, and Ace. Those are also... And Neo Ultra Q. All of those are actually legally available to watch. Yeah. So, the movies, however, unfortunately are not yet. But you know where to find them. But they will be coming soon. So when they come out, if you like them, please support them.
The movies are completely, totally unavailable. Wink, wink.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think that'll about wrap up this episode. As always...
Yeah, a quick matter of business. Or were you going to shill first?
I'll shill first, and then we'll get to the next episode.
Yeah, let's do a speedy shill.
All right. Okay, it's time for me to do my shill speed run. All right, start the timer. Alrighty, if you are listening to us on Anchor, go check us out on YouTube. We have video there. You can see our beautiful faces. And if you're watching us on YouTube, go check us out on Anchor. You can take us wherever you go. We get a slight kickback from Anchor because we do have ads enabled there. But we're not really here for that. Though if you do want to support us, we have a donate paid button on our Anchor page as well. If you donate
to us,
because
we like alcohol and anime.
if you do donate to us, we'll be sure to shout you out if you would like to. Just DM one of us with the proof that you donated, just a screenshot that you donated. On Twitter, you follow both of us on Twitter. Links are down in the description. Subscribe to me on YouTube. Subscribe to us everywhere because that helps us grow. And is that all the shilling?
I think so.
That was the speed.
I don't know if you said this, but I always want to clarify this. If you donate, send a screenshot. That's only if you want to be called out.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
If you want to just keep it to yourself, we don't.
No, we're not doing this for money.
We appreciate you regardless.
Yes, we do. We will appreciate you.
We appreciate you if you don't donate. We appreciate you for listening.
Honestly. So thank you so much for checking out the episode. But as Wob said, we do have one more matter of business to take care of before we end today's
Someone
episode.
still hasn't told me what show we're watching next
because it's
week.
my choice. Well, I've got it right here.
I'm ready to write it down in the listings, in the official listings.
So I watched this a couple years back, and I really liked it. I never got around to season 2, though. But we are going to watch season 1. Don't worry, I'm not going to just hop you into season 2. We are going to watch Non-Biori.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. See, he was scared at the beginning, too. He was like, better not be another Ultraman.
I was legitimately worried that you were going to take the allowance of Ultraman 1 once into a follow-up of your choice for another Ultraman.
No, we have to do anime on this show. And there's only one other anime, and it's 50 episodes. And I'm not going to give you that with no warning.
I shouldn't give you this information. I would consider that anime adjacent enough that it qualifies. But not for a hot while yet. You gotta give it time to breathe. There's a reason we haven't done Overlord 3 yet.
Alright, so next my choice. We know what it's going to be.
No.
This is, thanks for listening to A Shot of Weeb, though. This is now Tokusatsu Podcast, and we'll see you next week. It's not.
Seaweed Ambassador does not represent the A Shot of Weeb brand.
Yep. But yeah, no, really though, thank you so much for listening. And we hope to see you next week with Non-Biori.